Good morning, everyone. It's March 24th, 2020. This is your coffee and Kavanah from Valley Beth Shalom. I'm Rabbi Farkas. It's nice to see everyone here. Hope everyone's having a pretty good week. It's been a whole week since we launched the Valley Beth Shalom at Home initiative, and just for a couple of updates on that, you can always go to vbs.org/Valley Beth Shalom or VBS at Home to find all of our updates. There's a ton of recorded material there, so you have a chance to see what is there and see if there are things that you might like to see or listen to or to read or to experience. So those are all VBS at Home. It's at vbs.org/VBS at Home. So those are all, that's where the sort of website source is. And then in addition, you always come here to the Valley Beth Shalom Facebook page for live updates, and we're always having morning minyan, 7:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. And after minyan in the evening, there's always an evening program. Last night we had Cantor Keith Miller and Rabbi Ed Feinstein doing a wine tasting for Passover together, and tonight I'll be starting my class on Pirkei Avot, a series of chapters of ethics that we'll be looking at. And tomorrow night, Rabbi Feinstein has his rabbi study with Rabbi Brad Artson. And on Thursday night is Rabbi Joshua Hoffman continuing his Musar class. So those are our general offerings. Again, every morning at 7:30, every evening at 6 p.m. And then we have Kabbalat Shabbat coming. And we have other, we always have more and more stuff coming. Next week, you should know, next week is Passover week. So all of our major resources for Passover, besides the stuff that's living on the VBS at Home page already, will be rolling out next week. Each of us will be teaching a class on Passover. Everything from how to run an online Seder to here's some ideas for online Seders, to some of the core ideas of Passover itself. So all next week there'll be opportunities to learn about Passover because the holiday is coming. And I just want to say a wonderful shout out. I see Rory is on, and Doran and Natalia. I see you. Ben Tisser, always good to see you around. And Debbie Alden, nice to see you again, and Marcy, of course, and anyone else out there in the world that stumbles upon our page or just sees us. We're really just glad you're here. So this is your morning Kavanah. Something I've been thinking a lot about this week is just our sense of being in the world. Like, think about it for a minute. You've got we've been home for a week, and everything that we've known about the world that's told, all the things we love to do, all the things that we've been around are now sort of flipped on their head. The idea of going to a concert, or the idea of going to a friend's house for dinner, the idea of going out to a restaurant, even holding hands or giving someone a hug or a slap on the shoulder, all of those things are now considered off limits. It's almost like encountering another human being is a menacing idea. And so when I try to think about where in the world is that even a thing? Where is that, wherever this distancing, this idea of being pulled apart is what we're what we're supposed to be holding on to, so to speak. And I think about these two different energy pieces. The first is called, in physics, is called fission. That's the idea of breaking something apart and creating power through breaking something apart. That the most popular version of fission, the thing that we know most, is nuclear fission, where you break apart an atom, and now when you burst that atom open, huge amounts of energy come pouring out. And in order to do that, you have to create tons and tons and tons of energy put into the reactor in order to break apart those atoms and split those atoms. And it's an efficient way of blowing things up. And that, it feels like the world that we're in right now. Things are just getting blown up. They're getting pulled apart. Fission after fission after fission, right? But then I think about this other form of energy production that is just coming over the horizon and has always been the dream, which is fusion, which is the idea, instead of blowing things apart, it's about fusing things together. And nuclear fusion at the most nuclear level, if it's done well, can produce infinitely more amounts of energy than fission ever could. In fact, if as physicists and quantum mechanics come into play here, they realize that once you get that system going, it takes less energy to create fusion than it does to create fission. So I just want you to think about that this morning. Is the whole world seems to be trying to tell us to do fission, to blow things apart, to tear ourselves away from each other, to try to disconnect, to create this new energy where we just have to be isolated and separated and become sort of radicals floating around, when we know, and we know from physics, that fusion creates more energy. And so as you go forward through the day, just think about those moments where are you participating in an act of fission or an act of fusion? Are you participating in an act of blowing things apart or trying to bring things together? And I just want to say that I think as we move through this week, and as all of this work and all of this new zeitgeist that we're in continues to tell us to blow things apart, we have to work harder and harder and harder to bring things back together. And I'm reminded, as a final thought, I'm reminded of this week's Torah portion, which is called Vayikra, which is the beginning of the book of Leviticus, which deals with these two forces all the time. And the opening line is what I want to leave you with this morning. It says, Vayikra Adonai el Moshe, that God calls out to Moses. And in that calling out, the rabbis teach us that that's a moment of intimacy and tenderness. It's not a command. It's not a God up here and Moses down here. It's God in here calling out to Moses to come home, to come inside. And so I think that we can take a lot of heart from Leviticus. It's the book that we need the most right now, where God is calling us home. God is calling us inside. God is calling us back to relationship. God is calling us into this space that rather than looking at the world in terms of fission, we need to look at the world in terms of fusion. And so as you go out through the rest of your day, try to take that intention with us, with each of you, is where are the moments where you can try to bring things together, where you can be like God and call out and say, come in, come home, because you are loved and you have the capacity to love. And in this world where it seems so absence of love, our job is to be loving. I want to wish all of you a wonderful day. I see Avi Rothman has made some beautiful comments. Mazel tov on the anniversary of your bar mitzvah, Avi. I hope that you have a really great, wonderful afternoon, wonderful day, and that you'll be able to hold on to these and still be with us. I see Francine all the way out in Arizona. Nice to see you. And Debbie, nice to see you too. I hope you're doing well, and Bruce and everyone else. And of course, Debbie Alden, I see you too, and Marcy. So I just want to give my love out to everyone who's out there, and hope that you're doing well and staying safe and being healthy. Have a wonderful day.